Have you ever felt like you're locked in a silent war with life itself? As if every step forward is a battle, every breath a negotiation with the weight you carry. You push and push as if you're rolling a boulder uphill with everything you have, only to watch it tumble back the second you pause to rest. If this soul-deep exhaustion speaks to something real inside you, pause now. Take a breath not just for your lungs, but for your spirit, because this message is not a coincidence, it is a divine appointment. A quiet signal from the universe that you are standing at the edge of something sacred, not collapse, but transformation. This is not about giving up, it is about surrendering the illusion that struggle is your only path to growth. It's about remembering that grace is not earned through exhaustion, it is allowed through alignment. If this resonates in your bones, type "I am ready to let go" or 111 in the comments below. Let this be your moment of release. Like this message to anchor it into your field, and subscribe to join others who are walking this path with you. You don't have to carry it all anymore, and you never did. There is a moment in every soul's journey, a quiet, almost invisible turning point that changes everything. It's a subtle shift in the cosmic winds, a gentle whisper from your higher self that you might almost miss amidst the noise of your own efforts. This is the moment where the universe doesn't respond to your force, but to your release. It's the paradox that the awakened masters have always known. Your greatest power doesn't come from pushing harder, from clenching your fists until your knuckles are white, or from meticulously planning every single outcome. No, the grand, sweeping changes, the ones your soul has been yearning for, begin not with a bang, but with a breath. They begin the moment you finally, truly stop. You stop trying to be the puppeteer of your own destiny, pulling strings that were never yours to control. You stop the obsessive mental chess game, trying to predict and counter every move life might make. You stop fighting the divine current of your existence as if it were your sworn enemy, a malevolent force to be conquered. And in that sacred pause, in that holy moment of surrender, you finally create the space for everything to begin flowing, not to your will, but to your highest good. This is where the magic, the true alchemy of life, begins to unfold, not because you commanded it, but because you finally allowed it. From the moment we are born, we are woven into a societal tapestry that screams a single deafening message. Force is the engine of progress. We are conditioned to believe that if you are not grinding, you are failing, that if your dreams aren't materializing at lightning speed, you must be doing something profoundly wrong. The world teaches us to equate relentless, bone-wearying effort with virtue and to see rest as a cardinal sin. This relentless programming, this vibration of perpetual struggle, has become the background noise of our lives. It's the silent pressure that makes our shoulders ache, the anxiety that tightens our chests. We've been taught to clench so tightly, to hold onto our goals, our relationships, our plans with such a desperate grip. But have you ever stopped to consider, truly considered, that this very act of forcing, this white-knuckled grip on life, is the very anchor weighing you down? Could it be that the reason everything feels so heavy, so difficult, is because you are carrying the weight of a fight you were never meant to win? The truth is, my friend, that the more you try to force the universe into your timeline, the more you are resisting the very flow that is trying to carry you to your destination with ease and grace. Imagine for a moment that life, with all its possibilities and blessings, is like a flowing river of pure, liquid light. Now, imagine trying to capture that river by clenching your fist as tightly as you can. What happens? The harder you squeeze, the more of that precious light slips through your fingers, leaving you with nothing but an aching hand and a deep sense of loss. You are left exhausted, frustrated, and wondering why you can't seem to hold on to anything good. This is the perfect metaphor for a life lived through force. It is a constant, draining effort that yields almost nothing. But now, picture this. What happens the moment you relax your hand, the moment you gently, lovingly open your palm? Suddenly, the river of light rests there effortlessly. You are not holding it, you are simply allowing it to be with you. You are in its flow, you are part of its journey. This is the secret. The most powerful, life-altering word that the world has forgotten to teach us is flow. It is the state of being where you are no longer fighting the current, but have become one with it. You are not passive, you are powerfully receptive. You are not giving up, you are aligning with a force far greater, far wiser, and far more loving than your own limited will. In this state of divine flow, you hold everything without having to grasp at anything. True, lasting soul-level change never ever emerges from the frequency of pressure. It doesn't blossom in a garden of anxiety and fear. It is born from alignment. And what is alignment? It is the sacred process of tuning your personal vibration, your very essence, to the frequency of source energy, to the rhythm of the universe itself. It begins with the simple yet most profound act of all: trust. Trusting that you are guided. Trusting that you are supported. Trusting that there is a divine intelligence at play that has your highest good etched into its very design. This is not a call to become passive or to sit back and do nothing, waiting for life to hand you your dreams on a silver platter. That is a misunderstanding born of the ego. This is about a monumental shift in your state of being. It is about learning to do from a place of inner peace, not from a place of frantic desperation. It's about taking action that is inspired by clarity, not driven by anxiety. It's about moving with less grasping and more allowing, less controlling and more co-creating. When you make this shift, you are no longer a lone soldier on a battlefield. You become a dance partner with the divine. When you finally step into this space of alignment, this sacred dance with the universe, something miraculous begins to happen. You stop getting in your own way. Have you ever noticed how your most brilliant ideas, your most profound epiphanies, the solutions to problems that have plagued you for weeks, often arrive in the moments you least expect them? They don't come when you're staring at a blank page, forcing creativity. They emerge when you're on a quiet walk in nature, when you're lost in the rhythm of a song while driving, when you're in the shower with your mind finally at ease, or even in that peaceful state right before you fall asleep. Is that a coincidence? Absolutely not. That is not luck. That is the universe's design. It's what happens when you finally quiet the noise of the striving ego mind long enough to hear the whispers of your soul. The right people begin to show up in your life, as if by magic, because your energy is now a beacon for those who resonate on your true frequency. The right ideas, the ones that are truly meant for you, flow through you with an effortless clarity. The right timing, the divine timing, unfolds naturally, without you having to check your watch or force the clock hands to move faster. This is what it means to get out of your own way and let life lead. It's a state of being where you are no longer just living life, but life is living through you. So, if this state of flow and alignment is so powerful, so natural, why do we resist it with every fiber of our being? The answer lies in the deepest chambers of our human fear. For many of us, the idea of letting go feels terrifyingly risky. Our conditioned minds have been trained to equate surrender with laziness, with giving up, with abdicating responsibility for our own lives. We have been taught to believe that control is safety, and that if we are not actively managing, planning, and forcing every detail, our world will inevitably spiral into chaos and failure. We fear that letting go of control means we are letting go of our dreams. But what if I told you that this entire belief system is a profound illusion? What if true control isn't found in micromanaging the universe, but in surrendering to its infinite wisdom? The people you see who seem to move through life with a sense of calm, who seem unbothered by the storms, who always appear to be in the right place at the right time, do you truly believe they are just lucky? Or is it more likely that they have mastered a sacred art that most people overlook entirely? They have stopped trying to force the river and have instead learned to trust its current. They have understood that true power lies not in fighting life, but in aligning with it. Here is a truth that might challenge everything you've ever been taught about success and achievement. The act of forcing outcomes doesn't just block your flow, it actively distorts and corrupts your intuition. Your intuition is your divine compass, your direct line to your higher self, the sacred GPS that is constantly guiding you toward your destiny. But when you are in a state of constant forcing, your mind becomes a cacophony of noise. It is filled with the loud, frantic shouting of plans, deadlines, expectations, and anxieties. It's like trying to hear a delicate whisper in the middle of a roaring rock concert. In that state of mental chaos, you can't hear the subtle signals from the universe. You miss the gentle nudges, the intuitive hits, the gut feelings that are trying to steer you away from a wrong turn. You end up overriding your own inner guidance because your mind is screaming that it knows better. This is how we end up chasing things that were never meant for us. We pursue relationships, careers, and goals that look perfect on the outside, that tick all the boxes of what we think we should want, but that feel profoundly empty and hollow on the inside. You become reactive to the world's demands, not receptive to your soul's calling. You end up on a path that drains your energy, simply because you were too busy forcing your way forward to listen to the signs that were telling you to change direction. But when you make the conscious decision to stop forcing, a profound shift begins to ripple through your entire being. Something deep within you starts to change. You begin to hear yourself again, perhaps for the first time in years. The frantic noise of the ego begins to quiet down, and in that newfound silence, you can finally hear the clear, steady voice of your own soul. You start to move from a place of inner clarity instead of being pulled and pushed by outer pressure. Your actions become intentional, rooted in a deep sense of what feels right for you, not what you think you should be doing. And here is the most surprising part of this journey. When you operate from this place of alignment, you actually get to where you're meant to go faster. It's not because you're rushing or hustling, but because you are no longer wasting your precious life force, your divine energy, on detours and dead ends. You are no longer distracted by the glittering illusions of paths that were never meant for you. You are on the direct route, the one that your soul has chosen, and the journey becomes not a struggle, but a joyful unfolding. In almost every story of a truly successful and fulfilled person, if you listen closely, you will hear a common thread, a pivotal moment where they say, "I finally let go," and that's when everything started working. This isn't just a poetic or romantic notion, it is a fundamental principle of spiritual physics. Life has its own inherent pace, its own sacred rhythm. It is a vast and intelligent ocean with currents and tides that are far beyond our control. When you stop trying to interrupt it, when you stop fighting against its natural movement, you begin to sync with it. It's like learning to catch a wave on a surfboard. For a while, you might struggle, you might fall, you might fight the water, trying to force it to carry you. But then, there's a moment of surrender, a moment where you feel the rhythm of the ocean, you align your board, and suddenly, the wave lifts you and carries you to the shore with exhilarating speed and effortless grace. This is how life works. It is not asking you to fight, it is inviting you to align. It is not asking you to struggle, it is asking you to trust the wave. Let's bring this into your own life. Think about a decision you've obsessed over. Maybe it was a career change, a relationship choice, or a big move. You probably went back and forth in your mind 100, even 1,000 times. You made pro and con lists, you tried to control every possible variable, you attempted to predict every potential outcome. And what was the result? You likely felt more stuck, more confused, and more frustrated than when you started. But then, after you had exhausted yourself with overthinking, you finally surrendered. You stopped trying to figure it out, and then, one random morning, perhaps while you were simply sipping your coffee and looking out the window, the answer just came to you. It arrived with a sense of calm, of clarity, of an undeniable rightness that settled deep in your bones. That, my friend, is what alignment feels like. And it's not a one-time event, it is a way of living. When you embrace this way of being, you stop trying to convince people to stay who are meant to leave. You stop chasing someone else's definition of success. You stop waking up every single day with that gnawing feeling that you are somehow behind in the race of life. Instead of fighting, you begin to ask better, more aligned questions. You start to ask, what actually feels right in my soul right now? Not, what should I be doing according to the world? You ask, what makes my spirit feel light and expansive? Not, what makes my ego feel tight and in control? You begin to listen for where life is gently inviting you to go, instead of trying to force it down a path of your own making. This shift is subtle, it is slow, it requires patience, but it is undeniably real. And once you truly feel this shift, once you experience the profound peace that comes from letting go, you can't unfeel it. It changes you from the inside out. This doesn't mean you won't have to work hard or take action. Of course, you will. But it means that your precious energy, your divine life force, is no longer being wasted fighting battles that were never yours to fight. Your efforts are now focused, intentional, and powerfully aligned with your true purpose. That is the real gain. There is a quiet, unshakable strength that is born in the heart of surrender. Not the kind of surrender where you give up and settle for less than you deserve, but the kind of surrender where you stop needing to control every single thing. In this space, you cease being a lone agent fighting against the world, and instead, you become a co-creator with life itself. This shift is where your real power, your soul's power, truly begins. Because let's be honest, when you are constantly forcing outcomes, you are operating from a place of fear. You are driven by the fear that it won't happen unless you push it. The fear that if you slow down, even for a moment, it will all fall apart. But ironically, it is the constant pushing that keeps things stuck, that keeps the energy stagnant. When you stop forcing, you stop sending a message of distrust out into the universe. You stop vibrating at the frequency of, I don't trust life, I don't trust myself. Instead, you begin to communicate something far more powerful, something that echoes through the cosmos. I trust, I know that what is truly mine will not miss me. And that is the moment when what is meant for you begins to find you. It's not magic, it's magnetism. New people, aligned opportunities, and creative ideas that feel like they've been dropped directly into your consciousness begin to appear. They find you when you're in a state of receptivity, not a state of resistance. It's like the person who is desperately searching for love. As long as they are chasing, texting, analyzing, and forcing, they are radiating a needy energy that paradoxically pushes love away. But the moment they stop, the moment they turn their focus inward and begin to truly live and love their own life, that is when the right person notices. It's because they are finally radiating something magnetic, something whole, instead of something that is desperately trying to fill a void. And this doesn't just apply to love, it applies to your purpose, your creativity, your healing, and your peace. Some of your greatest breakthroughs in this lifetime will come not when you fight your hardest, but when you relax into your being. They will come not because you stopped caring, but because you started trusting. Trusting that your intuition, that quiet voice within, knows the way. Trusting that not everything has to be planned and controlled down to the last, agonizing detail. And trusting that letting go doesn't mean you lose, it means you finally create the space for something far better to enter. There is a whole life, a more beautiful, more aligned version of your existence that is trying to unfold for you. It's a life that is easier, lighter, and more joyful than the one you are holding onto so tightly right now. But you will never see it, you will never feel it, if your hands are clenched around the current version of your reality. So, I invite you to ask yourself, what are you trying to force right now? And who would you be? What would you feel if you simply released your grip just for this one moment? Because sometimes, the very instant you stop pushing is the instant that life in all its grace finally rushes in. Way of being, you stop trying to convince people to stay who are meant to leave. You stop chasing someone else's definition of success. You stop waking up every single day with that gnawing feeling that you are somehow behind in the race of life.